And a third party could be someone that's not directly for you, but it's going to be connected to you in some way. Now, there was a male energy that was coming forward for you, Bobby. There was a Bobby Burns on here. And he comes through and he clearly says, well, I'm the one that stands in the doorways in spirit. I know you're probably like, what? I'm just going to say this without trying to freak you out. I feel like he is very, very strong energy, and don't know if you can place him or not, but I feel like eventually you'll understand it. But he comes through and he stands in doorways, and either you're going to eventually, if you haven't already, you're going to see something like, see a spirit like walk by, or you're going to see that. There's going to be something about a doorway. You're going to think you see something in a doorway. It's just his way of saying that he's watching over his family kind of thing, and he says that he stands in doorways, so just keep this in mind. He also referenced to something for a number 8, and I feel like that's going to be something about a number 8, so just keep the number 8 in your mind. And I feel like this male energy that is trying to come forward has been passed for at least, the way he's making it seem, is like 10 plus years. Now he's coming through pretty strong, okay? And the way that I see him is he sits in a chair, and all of a sudden he shows him flipping through the Bible. And I feel like he was a very godly man, and I feel like he really enjoyed reading his Bible, and there's going to be something about that. Somebody's got his Bible, or this is something that people remember about him, but there's going to be something about that. And he's not really saying a whole lot. That was just his personality. The way he's coming through is like, he didn't say a whole lot, but he's smiling at me kind of thing. But it's also important to know he's okay, he's at peace, and he is wanting to come forward. And I'm seeing, I hear, what I'm trying to see what he shows me. All of a sudden I see a line, and again, this might be a third party, but it's really important because he is coming forward for you. He shows a line, and then I see Frank very clearly, actually, like a line and then Frank. Now, I feel with him showing me a line and then Frank, that the line above him will be another name. So I'm just going to tell you, I've seen this before with many connections, them showing me like a middle name or part of his name, and I feel very strongly that like part or his middle name will have Frank in it, but there's going to be a name before that. So just keep this in mind, because I feel like it's eventually this will make sense. It just might take some time for you to understand it, okay? But he is coming forward. And he talks about having to wait for his love. He said, oh, I waited for her. She was my heart. And I need my family to know that I'm okay. He's needing you to know that, and for his family to know that. So just keep this in mind. He keeps showing me a beautiful pathway. This is just what I'm seeing. And he shows me little bitty Christmas trees. I know I'm seeing a lot of Christmas trees tonight, but y'all, it's going to mean something. Every single thing that they show will eventually mean something. And he shows me like little Christmas trees with lights hanging from each tree. It's very, very, very beautiful, and it's nighttime, and it's all lit up. It's very, very beautiful. And he shows me him walking this beautiful pathway. For him to show me the Christmas trees, there's going to be a reason for that. But he leans over, and he kisses this female on the cheek, takes her hand, and leads her into heaven, and he walks this beautiful pathway with her into heaven. This tells me that the way he's making it seem is like he greeted her, so he passed before she did, and he helped lead her into heaven. But there's going to be something about the month of December that they're both making this huge deal about. Is it one of their birthday celebration? Is it a death celebration? That kind of thing. Hold on just a second. Just stay with me for just a minute. And again, this could be a third party, but he's coming through really strong, and he's showing me these beautiful images, and I feel like eventually it's going to make sense. And he just wanted to come through to say, hey, I greeted my love. I need them to know. It's so important. He says, I greeted, and I see A dot A over and over and over. A dot A. A dot A. A dot A. Is the female, is there something for A dot A with her name? So just keep this in mind. Does she have 2 A's, like 2 double A's in her name? There's going to be something about that. So just keep this in mind. I feel like she enjoyed like writing cards to people and letters and stuff like that. And it's just her way of saying, I'm okay. And to know of the joy she felt when she took her last breath here in the physical world and opened her eyes, and he was greeting her and led her down that beautiful path. And again, there's going to be something for December because they're making a huge deal about it. As they're walking this pathway, it's kind of a short image, but I feel like might be something that you just have to think about, Bobby, but I feel like eventually you'll understand it. They're just needing their family to know they're okay and they're finally together. He waited for her, he said, and he got to take her. Like, people wondered what she got to see, that kind of thing, and she got to see these beautiful lights leading into heaven. It's very, very beautiful. But as they were walking down this pathway, to the right of them, I could see beautiful trees, and it turned into like a forest. It's very, very beautiful. I could see flowers starting to bloom up and different colors and stuff like that. And there is a picnic table, and then I'm seeing these two, a male and a female, and they're slow dancing together, and then her head tilts back and she's laughing. It's a very kind of romantic, very beautiful, but it's important to know that they're slow dancing in heaven together. Oh, it's so important to know that they're together in heaven. And she's coming through, and they like look at her. They're holding hands, walking down the pathway, and they stop and they watch them. And they're slow dance together, and she comes forward as she dances with him, and he stops and looks, and she calls herself something. Hold on just a second. She says, "I'm Ruth. I'm Ruth, dear. I'm Ruth. Tell him I'm Ruth." I feel like Ruth is just part of a name, half of a name. It could be a nickname around that. Hold on just a second. They're making this huge deal, though, for the month of July. It's huge. So just keep this in mind as there's a celebration in the month of July they're making a big deal about. But it's so important to know that they're slow dancing in heaven. This Ruth, she says her name's Ruth, but I feel like there's more to her name, maybe part of her name. She's slow dancing with this male energy. Hold on just a second. So when she's slow dancing, and this couple looks at them, the Ruth, and again, I feel like she's got more to her name. Of course, maybe it's just part of her name, but she comes through as Ruth. So just keep this in mind, Bobby. This is all I ask, because I feel like eventually it's going to make sense. It might just take some time to understand it, but she comes through as that, and then she looks over, and the male's with her, and he goes, "Well, you see," and he does this exactly, and he puts his hands out just like that. He says, "I'm R, but you can just call me Charles." And there's more to his name. Maybe part of his name's Charles, Charlie's Charles, around that, but he's like, "Want me to call him R?" I'm not really sure. And he laughs, and they grab each other, and they're slow dancing again. Now, he's going to look probably around 70s to 80s, but he did salute at me before he faded. But it's just important to know, and I feel like he is a great example of what a third party is. This might be something that you just have to think about, but the Ruth and the male energy slow dancing together is so important, and they're making this huge deal for the month of July, okay? But just keep this in mind, because I feel like it's going to eventually make sense. Now, I will say this. I just heard it with the A.A. I heard something Ann. So I feel like the A.A. female had Ann in her name, so just keep this in mind, because I did hear it. But I hope that this eventually makes sense. But the A.A. is making a huge deal, and I don't know why, but she keeps pointing at you, and then she shows me a number 1, so I don't know if there's something referencing you for the month of January, if there's something with that. So just keep this in mind. I can only show you what they're showing me, but I feel like eventually it's going to make sense. But remember them this way when it does make sense. I wish I could